How much money should you have by the time you're age 30? That's going to be our topic on today's episode of Friends Talk Financial Planning. Hi, I'm John Shearer, and I run a fee-only financial planning practice in Middleton, Wisconsin.
And I'm Bridget Sullivan-Mermel, and I've got a fee-only financial planning practice in Chicago, Illinois. Subscribe. Please help us out. We need you to subscribe. It helps us get more credibility on YouTube and helps you get notified if you enable it when we're doing more episodes.
Yeah, that's great. So let's talk about how much money should you have, right? It's one of those things to me that, I mean, you know what your friends have, what kind of cars they drive, all that, but like, where should you be and how do you know about this stuff?
Right.
Yeah, what do you say to people when they ask you about that?
Well, when you're starting out, so before you're after you've got a job, graduated from college, before you're 30, I say start trying to get about 1 times your annual income in net worth. Okay, so net worth includes your savings accounts. It includes your equity in your house or condo, and it includes 401k.
So it's everything.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you look at like student loans and things? Does that count as negative when you think about the net worth? Hey, I'm 28, out of school, that sort of thing. I got some student loans. Is that a subtraction when you think about it?
I personally don't think of it that way.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. What do you think?
Usually, I would include that in there, but I think that's one of those things that maybe is a little bit of a squiggly topic, right? You could choose to include it or not, and don't sweat too much.
Don't worry about it too much. Yeah.
Right.
And it probably depends on the amounts.
Yeah, right.
So you just graduated from law school, you're 28, or you're going to be thinking about it a little differently.
Yeah.
So so my goal is 1 times your annual income.
By the time you're
30.
Yeah, that's great. And that's really similar to what I think about it, too, with and part of what Bridget and I belong to the Alliance of Comprehensive Planners, and that's one of the sort of fundamentals is building the foundation, right? Get up to that 1 times net worth. And I don't look at this as if it's a like a hard and fast rule, like, oh, if you don't get there by 30, you're screwed sort of a thing, right?
Yeah.
Like this is, am I on track for stuff? You mentioned a lawyer. We've got a client that their son is going to law school now, and geez, you got an extra 3 years of college, and he said, you're probably going to be a little bit behind on that stuff, right? Those sorts of things. There's some flexibility with that. Right,
and with attorneys, typically it's paying out money, getting student loan debts, more money, maybe kind of low paying internship, and then all of a sudden maybe a lot of money.
Right, it's like
and
this.
So it can be hard to save. Or sometimes in your 20s, your income doubles. Mm-hmm. You go from working at a low level job, and then you get a job and it quickly doubles. Right. So again, that makes it hard. If that happened when you're 29, it's going to be hard to have 1 times your new annual income in 1 year. That's so again, don't sweat that.
It's like as we look at it anyway, it's like a guideline for things. Is hey, am I pointing in the right direction? Am I doing the right things? Geez, if your income is around 1 times, oh golly, I had four extra years of school and and a residency, or I changed jobs, now my income's worth double. Of course I'm not there, but okay, that's sort of the guideline of things is what we look at it to sort of judge, like, hey, am I on track for things? And sort of the nice thing I think about being in your 20s from a financial standpoint is that there's still a long runway, right? We got a long ways to go, and so you don't have to sweat it too much. You have to be thinking about some things, right? You have to be thinking about putting some money in emergency savings, right? Put some money in the bank.
Stop paycheck to paycheck living.
Yeah, that's right. Save 10% of your income,
exactly.
Right? Put money in your 401k plan, your retirement plan. Right? Get the company match, okay? It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be a lot. But you start to do those things and you go, by the time you're 26, 28, 30, you go, oh yeah, net worth should be something approaching 1%, and now we're sort of on track with things, right?
Yeah, and then start saving for a house if you want one.
Yeah.
If that's something you're interested in. Some people don't want one. And so don't get one if you don't want one.
Right. But and that's the thing for me about including net worth, right? We're not talking about, investments are important, and when at some point you're going to live off the investment, but now saving money for a house, buying a house, that's increasing your net worth. The way real estate's been going recently, that's been adding to a lot of net worth, right? So that all factors in having that great foundation.
Right, exactly. And so I think a lot of times advisors can overly focus on contribute to your 401k, max it out, et cetera, where we take a little more, or I know I take more of a holistic approach, like, no, making sure you have adequate emergency funds is really important. That will actually improve the quality of your life. Like, not living
Yeah,
paycheck to paycheck improves the quality of your life. Saving for a house, again, having a house, that makes people feel good, and there can be a lot of meaning there.
Yeah.
And you contribute more to your neighborhood, etc. So those items are not to be discounted. Also, a lot of times when you're in your 20s, there's a concept of that's human capital, which means that you can be developing your skill set and perhaps your education. So I know when I was in my 20s, I went and got a master's in liberal studies, which seemed kind of bon voyant-ish or, kind of crazy at the time. But it was something I was really interested in. I had an accounting degree, so I had like a technical degree that I could work on. But then now that I can see how that has informed my life a lot and informed my career and helped me along the way a lot. So I believe that spending money on your human capital and maybe saving less because of that is just fine in your 20s. That's my 2 cents.
And you think about that as an investment, right? Where you're investing in yourself, and that investment is going to pay dividends for the next 20, 30, 40 years of your life, right? It's not an expense. It's not buying a Ferrari or something like that where, okay, it's going to go down in value sort of thing. I think the other thing that's interesting as we talk here, in that holistic view, of course, that's what you and I believe in and we talk about with people, but one of the things about building net worth and focusing on that is paying off debt. What if you have credit card debt? What if you have some of those student loan debts, and as you pay those things off, that's increasing, right? It's not increasing your portfolio, it's increasing your net worth, and it's increasing your foundation for the future, right? So paying off debt, it's not saving money, and you need to save, but it's also building the net worth, which is really important.
Well, and building that muscle, that saving muscle, is important. I would say make sure you start building that muscle. The other thing I want to mention is I did not do this. So I did not save money in my 20s. I'm 58 now as we're filming this, and I did not save money in my 20s. And I thought, I want to have 20s fun. Which was like uncertain unemployment, and I had a lot of fun actually, and I traveled a lot. It was a lot of fun, and I did not save money. And I thought I'll save money when I'm 30. And I actually started when I was 29 and a half because the company had a good 401k plan, and so I was like, okay, I give in. I'll start saving some money. So I have recently gone back and tried to figure out, like, okay, how much did I miss out on? And I took my Social Security statements and said, okay, what if I save 10% all these years, these 10 years? How much would I have now? And it turned out to be about $300,000, which is not chump change.
Right.
That's not chump change.
Right.
I would like that money.
Yeah, right. Well,
but,
write a check, I'll make sure.
But I don't, still, it's like, okay, that's just one of many decisions I made.
Right.
And the thing that I knew that I would actually start saving money when I was 30, that it wasn't an excuse to not save any money. Like, so that's the thing. And I've looked it up, and the average age to start saving money actually is 30.
Is that right?
But I think sometimes people don't think of saving money for a house or getting a savings account going as saving money.
Right.
Like,
or paying off debt.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I just want to tell people that if they haven't, they're 29 and they haven't, or they're 29 and they just doubled their income, it's okay. But you have to start saving, probably need to either save more aggressively or spend less when you're retired, or, just have less in the future. You'll need to start.
Yeah, that's a great segue into maybe another episode about, all right, how about by the time you're 30, you want to have net worth sometime around 1 times income?
Right.
What about by the time you're 40,
right?
There's ways to catch up and how to do that stuff. Right. And so that's maybe a great way to wrap things up here is take a look at how much money should you have by the time you're 30? Something around 1 times net worth is a great benchmark to think about. And the good news, as Bridget just said, you don't have, if you're not there, there's time, there's things to do. Don't stress. And next time we'll talk about what to do in your 30s and how to think about what you should have by age 40. So with that, I'm John Shear, and again, I run a fee-only financial planning practice in Middleton, Wisconsin. I'm here with Bridget Sullivan-Marmel, who runs a fee-only practice in Chicago, Illinois. And as I mentioned before, Bridget and I are both members of the Alliance of Comprehensive Planners, a nationwide group of tax-focused, holistic financial planners. And if you like what you hear on our show, check out acplanners.org to find an advisor in your area.
And don't forget to subscribe. And with that, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Great.